My name is Dominik, and I'm working as a country manager for Germany at Yousign. So a country manager at Yousign is responsible for the launch and the expansion of a given territory. In my case, that's Germany. And at the beginning of such a job, the role is very transversal. The more the country grows, you hire specified people for each and every role. It really depends a lot on the stage, right? I was saying at the beginning, for example, once you launch a new territory, in my humble opinion, it doesn't really make sense to say, okay, we need feature X, Y, Z. No, you really just have to take the current product, perhaps translate it, and launch it on the market. And based on that real life customer feedback, you really work on your whole marketing pitch, for example, that you change then, you work on the product, or you just differentiate your sales pitch on the territory. So at the very beginning, it's much about sales. The more you grow, of course, your team also grows, and then it evolves more into a people management role. So the biggest challenge, and I think this is really universal to all country managers, is the so-called product market fit. It describes how well your product or your service caters to the local needs in that specific country. And of course, there has already a certain set of demands and features that the local market expects you to have. And this is, of course, like adjusting your product market fit and finding it. This is the major challenge of any country manager. Before joining Yousign, I used to work as in sales and trading for HSBC, that's a British bank. And so for me, it was pretty clear that banking for me didn't have a future. So I wanted to transition into a more tech role. And yeah, as life often turns out, right, I didn't land a job in fintech, for example, or didn't find, but there was a perfect match with Yousign, and I started working for legal tech. So this is how I ended up at Yousign. I think that three qualities are kind of important, or at least help. The first one is an agile and open mindset. What do I mean by that? As a country manager, you're launching actually a startup within a startup. So you really have to be open-minded and try new things. The second one is really that you say, okay, resilience. We just said, okay, you have to test a lot. Once you succeed, of course, the success tastes even sweeter because you have worked hard to achieve that. And I would say that the third thing is actually a doer attitude, right? Country manager may sound like a management role, but actually it's a doer role. You have to love to get your hands dirty, to do stuff, because at the beginning you're alone, right? So it's really you doing everything. And this really requires that that it's an operational role, and this is what you have to face and have to absorb. Amaury, one of our investors, used to study at the same university where I studied too. And so I actually contacted the startup studio eFounders if they were having cool roles available after my studies. And then he put me in touch with Luc Palavidino, our CEO, back in the days. And Luc and we conducted the interviews in a pretty odd fashion because at the time I didn't speak French at all. But during the interview process, I really noticed pretty quickly that the company ticked so many boxes for me.